one thing that we'd never do is putz around. It is always great to celebrate those aces, as well as a perfectly placed pass for a goal. These highlights and more, Sportsnight is next.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sportsnight. I'm Joe Young.
And I'm Howie Shapiro. A very graphic, intensive show tonight.
Not a lot
like
of
last
highlights,
week.
as you said. These highlights and more to talk about, but not a lot to show, unfortunately. The video highlights a little sparse.
Yes.
The
banter will be good.
The emotion, I don't know about that. That is yet to be seen.
What's the over-under?
But we do have a lot to talk about. Only a couple of weeks left of the regular season for most spring programs. The strangest thing, even when the weather cooperates as it has this season, you blink and the spring season is over. We talk first about the baseball team. 3 games last week and all ended up going the other way. It started on the 6th against Rogers. The Royals came in and put 11 up against the Cardinals. Bryce Kieran, 2 for 4 with a double, scored a couple of times, couple of RBIs for Colin Fanoff, but they fall to 0-12. Then on the 8th, they travel to Spring Lake Park, come up short against the Panthers, 5-2, and again, that is all 5 of the Cardinals' hits in the ball game, and that has been something we talked about the last couple of weeks on the show. If you're only scoring 2 runs and only getting 4 to 5 hits per game, it's going to make it very tough to win ball games. They finished the week on Friday with a trip to Champlin Park. They lost to the Rebels by a 9-0 score. Rebels scored 4 in the first, 4 in the second, 1 in the third. And the rest of the box score showed zeros across the board. And again, 5 hits for Coon Rapids. That is all 5 of them right there. 2 of them for Colin Fanoff. He also had a stolen base. A couple of weeks left, I think 5 total games. 3 this week. They're at Maple Grove on Tuesday. They host Osseo on Wednesday. And then Cambridge Isani, they host in a night game over at Wintercrest on Friday. And we talked about it the last couple of weeks. No matter what happens in the regular season, everybody has a chance in the postseason. But boy, would you like to get some sort of confidence from a victory.
Well, I think you need to, obviously. And you know, you and I were chatting before the game, and I don't think we've ever seen the Cardinals in the bottom of the standings in the Northwest Suburban Conference. And, you know, you mentioned only 2 runs a game. However, they're giving up over 9 runs a game. So, you know, their pitching has been suspect, and they're not hitting the ball. Listen, they can turn it around at any point in the season now and go on a run, which we would love to see. But
we're ready to flip the switch as it goes to the postseason. Softball team has had a little bit more success, but not a ton. A similar story for them last week. It started with a loss to Rogers, 12-0. That one ended in 6 innings. Sophia Bauk, Patsy Olson, and Ava Kellis had the 3 hits for Coon Rapids. Annalie Anderson took the loss, gave up 12 runs, 11 of them earned through 6 innings, all 6 innings of that ball game. On the 7th, they lost to Armstrong by an 8-3 score. A little bit better job hitting the ball as far as numbers on the board. 3 for 4 game for Layla Meyer is definitely commendable. Erickson was 2 for 3, drove in a run. But they come up on the short end, fall to 2-12 against the Falcons. Then on the 8th and 9th, they lost to Spring Lake Park 6-1 and to Moundsview 5-1. Those statistics were not updated, but a tough way to end the week. Go into the Mother's Day weekend. Hopefully got a little recharged. They finished with a very hectic schedule this week. They're playing Sartell today. They're at Maple Grove Tuesday, at Champlin Park on Wednesday. They have a day off. And then they finish the season hosting Two Rivers over at Sand Creek. And Howie?
We'll be there. Yeah, that's an interesting. Two Rivers will be interesting. The former Henry Sibley High School, and you know that's an opportunity for maybe do they play the same level of competition that the Cardinals do? hopefully they can get a couple of wins this week and kind of, get some chemistry going again and roll into the playoffs.
Well, and there are a couple of beatable teams in that Final Four, including the visit from Two Rivers. But same story, their offense hasn't been consistently putting up numbers, and they have had struggles in the circle as well. But anybody can be a state champion come tournament time. Tennis team is into tournament time after wrapping up the regular season with a couple of matches last week. They lost to one of the top teams in the state, Maple Grove, by a 7-0 score. Cooper Held had the tightest match of the day, going 4-6, 4-6 at first singles. Hirsamaki and Lundberg finished a close one at first doubles, losing 3-6, 4-6. Peyton Yang played third singles, went 0-6, 1-6, and Oliver Leet lost at four singles, 2-6, 0-6. The others were all 0-6, 0-6 losses. On the 7th, they beat Park Center by a 6-1 score. Was that Wednesday? This was the crossover match, and Cardinals in straight sets throughout. Their only loss at third singles for Peyton Yang. But a solid day and a solid way to finish the season. Gotta look here. They finish at 8-15.
Yep.
So a pretty solid record overall as they get ready for the tournament. The tournament actually starts Tuesday. They are the number 8 seed, so they do get to host a first round match against Delano. However, Wyzetta is waiting in the wings.
So good.
The Trojans are the defending state champions, and they are the number 1 ranked team in the state of Minnesota. So Cardinals hoping to get one win and then see what they can do against the best there is. Get ready for the individual tournament, which starts next week.
Yeah, I want to say that matchup happened last year as well, where they had to go and play Wyzetta after a first round match, and it doesn't get easier, obviously, when you play a team like Wyzetta. But you gotta play. If you want to beat the best, you got to play well.
Well, and you have in this section, you have 3 of probably the top 10 teams in the state of Minnesota.
Loaded.
So
it's loaded.
It's a tough road, regardless of where you end up getting seated. Cardinals would love to see themselves in that top 3 at some point.
We would too.
We would, absolutely. And they are going to bring back a lot of this year's lineup, but they're going to finish strong. It'll be interesting to see what lineup he puts in for the section tournament, because do see him shuffle things up a little bit.
That's one thing you do this time of year.
Time to time. Volleyball team, a couple of matches last week, started out against Hopkins, and a tough loss for the Cardinals in 5, and you can see all 5 sets, super tight scores. They lose 25-19, and then they win 25-22, lose 25-22, win 25-15, and then lose 15-13. Garbo continues to be a monster on the attack. 26 kills, also had 12 digs. A nice game for a lot of the Cardinals, but with the loss, they fall to 7-6. Well, the Cardinals were hoping they could bounce back on a trip to Armstrong on Wednesday last week. Falcons were in a similar position to the Cardinals, hovering around 500 and playing in a lot of tight matches. Both teams looking for confidence, consistency, and momentum as they head towards the playoffs. This match was back and forth from start to finish and shows just how close a 3-set match can really be. Josh Hyatt, flying from the right side, gets a kill for the Cardinals in the first, one of his 7 in the match. But the Falcons have the stronger finish. Quick turn on serve, and Hayden Olson there for the score. Armstrong takes the first, 28-26. Another tight fight throughout the second. Solid passing on this point. Lucas Yang sets it up for Griffin Garbo. He leaves no question. He had a team-high 19 kills. 25 wasn't enough again. Unfortunately, the Cards a little unorganized on this point. The Falcons pounce on the opportunity. Isaiah Scott flying up the middle, hammers it home. Armstrong wins 26-24. Cardinals fighting to stay alive in the third. Matthew Hurd, the power, his ace, knocks the defender to the floor. But again, neither team could pull away, and Armstrong flexes at the end. Match point, Olson finds the floor again, 25-23. The final, Armstrong gets the sweep, but the Cardinals lose those 3 sets by a combined total of 6 points. As close as you can lose a 3-set match.
It's really tough to lose it that way. And obviously Armstrong, gave him a heck of a battle. They've been playing well. Their records are sitting at 500 right now. And so, that, it's something that they obviously can continue to build upon.
Well, and they were in a tournament at St. Michael Albertville on Saturday. And after said tournament, their record remains at 500. They started with a tight win over East Ridge, then lost a tough one to the Eastview Lightning. And they beat conference rival Anoka. And look at how tight that one was. 26-24, 25-21. Then they lose a tight one to St. Paul Central. The second set going to 30-28. And after it's all is said and done, the smoke clears. They are 9-9.
Yes, they are.
With just a handful of games remaining. They are at Rogers on Wednesday. They will host Andover on Thursday this week. Okay, where are we at? Track and field. We talked about it last week. They were at the Section 4 3A True Team Tournament when we were sitting here on the desk. We were hoping to be talking about the boys going to state as a team. Unfortunately, they fall just short. Top 2 teams make it to state. Cardinals finish in 3rd. First place finish by the 4x4 team. Lance Hill was first in the 100, second in the 200-meter dash. Mackay Martin had a first place finish in the 400. Loic Joitza was 4th place in the 300-meter hurdles. Carnell Robinson 5th place in the 110 hurdles. Devian Aluka went 6-6, matched that opening day flight. But unfortunately, that's only good for 2nd place. The winner, I can't remember where he was from, went 6'10 and a half.
Oh. That's a heck of a jump.
I mean, that's
I would say that's Young-like, but not even quite Young-like.
Boa Duga had a 3rd place finish in the triple jump, and Hayden Skillings was 2nd in the discus, throwing it 137 and 2 inches, and a bunch of personal records throughout both boys and girls. A season best also for Ruby Demmer as we look at the girls in the 1600 meter. Her best time, though, in the 1 mile run, only good enough for 7th place. Uday was 6th place with her personal best in the 100 meter dash. And that's, at the end of the day, all you can do is your best. And that indicates just how well the Cardinals are running, even if their placements and their results don't show it as far as 1st and 2nd place finishes goes. All you can do is your best, and they continue to improve on their best. And as we talked about last week, they finished in 9th place. Girls had no realistic chance to advance. The boys actually did, and they gave it their all, came up just short. Both of those graphics, so that's why I put the personal bests on there, is to show just how many kids, because it was all throughout the lineup, everybody putting up their best. Unfortunately for every other team in the section, pretty much the same story. They were all personal bests.
Well, and you want to see that, obviously. You want to get better from the start of the season to the end of the season. And the fact that they're putting up personal bests this time of year is great. And I think as far as the boys go, I'm sure they're really disappointed that they did not get a chance to go to state because of all the talent that they had and all those athletes. And I'm sure they're disappointed, but they've got other chances.
Well, and to see what they can do individually will be exciting. The next couple of weeks, the biggest races of the year. Northwest Suburban Conference Championship is Tuesday, Wednesday next week, and then the section individual championships is the week after that. Boys golf played a couple of Northwest Suburban Conference matches last week. It started on Monday with a trip to the Refuge. Cardinals missing a couple of pieces, but finishing with a 349. Imholte is just a freshman who got a spot in the lineup due to some of those others that weren't able to compete, and he finished with a team low 83. Jackson Barsness right about his average at 88. Dylan Bushy and Andrew Clark both posted 89. Newquist had a 91, and Zach Bushy finished with a 93.
Well, the boys were back at it on Thursday, this time turned in the round in Maple Grove. Cardinals got a couple of their leaders back, and one of them turned in the round of the season so far and finished as the medalist in the 6th conference match of the year. It was a beautiful afternoon as nearly 80 athletes from 14 schools took over the course at Rush Creek. Senior Noah Law had a career round. He birdied twice in the first 5 holes and finished the day 1 under, tied for first place. The previous best for a Cardinal was 30th. Nice round there. Fellow senior Oscar Berg also back in the lineup at Rush Creek, but his return wasn't quite as epic. He made some solid golf shots, but finished with an 86 on the day. Almost to the pin right there. The first 3 for Coon Rapids, all seniors. Dylan Bushy up next. He had his struggles on Thursday. 5 multi-bogey holes. He was able to chalk up 1 birdie, but he needs an 88 to get back to the clubhouse. The rest of the lineup at Rush Creek from his junior class, Andrew Clark also needing a few more strokes than he might have liked. His 1 birdie came right after a triple bogey, through which he shows he's got some resiliency. He's going to finish with an 89. All 3 of the juniors are also hockey players.
It's good you picked up on that.
Yeah, well, yeah. Jackson Barson's, I know, I'm on the top. Jackson Barson's also sporting the pink the week before Mother's Day, showing off the sweet stroke on this approach. He would need a couple of putts from there, but he's done with a respectable 88.
Again, right at that, right about his average.
Yep, right his average. And the last guy in the order delivers the second best score of the day for the Cards. Nice long putt from Zach Bushy here. He was a little up and down on the day with 3 birdies, 8 bogeys, 2 double bogeys, but a +9, 81 is really solid day at the course. I'd take that any time, Joe Young.
Yeah, we talk about it. Some of the, to see the 71 was phenomenal for Noah. We talk about it year after year. To be competitive in the Northwest Suburban as a team, you really need to get 4 guys that are consistently shooting in the 70s. That has not happened, I don't think, in any of the years that we've done this for Coon Rapids. Other teams, they will typically have 4 guys who are at least close to, if not in the 70s, a couple of them being in the low 70s, guys that are scratch golfers, maybe +1, +2. It's tough to compete when you don't have that kind of depth. But if you get to those 88s to turn into 85s to turn into 83s, all of a sudden you have something to work with. These last couple of outings, they have been just within a handful of strokes of advancing 2 or even 3 places in the conference. So small steps.
Well, and the talent in this conference is amazing. There's so many good golfers, and what I would think is a pretty good round, sometimes doesn't cut it necessarily.
Well, again, a 10 over is 30th place.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's tough. That's tough competition. Boys golf, the Northwest Suburban at Loggers Trail on Tuesday this week. The Northwest Suburban Conference Championships will be next Thursday at the Gem of Coon Rapids, Bunker Hills. All right, girls golf team close to wrapping up their regular season, or I think this does wrap up their regular season. They solid score, 197. Unfortunately, that's not enough to topple Centennial with 178. Lily McKenzie leading the way with a 45. But you love to see that. The senior leader having the low round of the day. The freshman up-and-comer, 1 stroke behind her. Avery Anderson turning in a 46. 53s for Davis and Hogarth. 57s for Semensky and Price. And 206 is still a pretty solid score on the girls' side, but not enough to beat Anoka. And the beauty of the season for the girls is how many times they have been under 200. I think 3 or 4 of their matches have been under 200, which is a nice milestone to achieve. Lily McKenzie leading the way again with a 44. Avery Anderson again in that second spot, this time with a 48. Abby Semensky at a 56. Caitlin Davis and Kaylin Price each in with a 58, as was Sophie Abels. So grouping. But they have a few more seniors in their lineup, so they will be hit a little bit harder by graduation than will the boys. But both teams lose some solid pieces. They are at the Purple Hawk Invite in Cambridge Isani on Wednesday this week. They have the Legacy Invite on Monday next week, and then the conference tournament is on Tuesday of next week.
Respectable record at 5-3, however. So that's a nice, that's a really nice season. Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Started with 3 wins.
Yep.
doesn't get better than that. Well, it could, but
Well, yeah.
But we digress. 5-3, very solid.
Absolutely.
Just 3. No question.
Oh, yeah.
Just 3 games left in the regular season for the boys lacrosse team last week. Their second and final game at the Cardinal Stadium. Their non-conference matchup with Forest Lake Rangers gave them a great chance to get back in the win column. The Rangers had just 1 win so far, and they had racked up a number of lopsided losses. Catbirds looking to add to that number on Wednesday night. Rangers scored in the opening minute, then it was an SLPCR onslaught. Brock Lewick uses the jump shot to get the home team on the board. Less than a minute later, in transition, great passing to get Caden Conkler open look at the back door. Catbirds led the rest of the way. Toby Tranby is the team's leading scorer. He had a big night against Forest Lake. Takes this one himself. He had 4 goals and 3 assists. Into the second quarter, SLPCR in complete control. Good movement again. And a strong finish for Brody Herzog. Home team scored 8 straight. Rangers trying to stop the bleeding. They bring the pressure, and it changes just this quick. Tommy Scramstead with the save gives it to the transporter, Lamari Brown. He flies end to end. There's Herzog again, alone in the hole. He turns and scores. SLPCR cruises to the 11-5 win, improving their non-conference record to 4-1 this season.
Yeah, we were there, obviously, doing the game, and I thought it was a lot of fun, and they get a chance, our first chance to see the boys lacrosse team. I thought they did really well controlling the action pretty much from start to finish. I thought their passing was crisp. Their defense played well, and I know that was some of their issues before, was defensively. They did a nice job against the team. Granted, only 1 win, however, but
well, their non-conference schedule versus their conference schedule has been pretty much night and day.
Yep.
And we talked about it during the broadcast. Those 2 losses last week to Champlain Park and Blaine that are by 2 goals. It's so close to getting those conference wins. They have not been able to do it yet. They do have a couple of more opportunities. This week, they're at Armstrong on Wednesday, and then they host Elk River next Monday, that one over at Spring Lake Park. Girls lacrosse team just had the 1 match last week against Anoka. I guess both teams each had 1 match last week, and they won 10-7, proved their record to 3-7 on the season. That is their first conference win. Same kind of scenario. They've been able to find a little more success in their non-conference schedule. Northwest Suburban is very tough. They are at Breck on Friday. They are at Osseo next Monday.
All good stuff.
And as all of these teams are winding down their spring schedule, CTN is also coming towards the end of the spring schedule. We have the girls softball game against Two Rivers, their last game of the season on Friday, and then we'll have some playoffs behind that. Some baseball, maybe some some softball, maybe some volleyball, maybe some.
Hey, you never know. You never know where CTN's going to be.
Who knows? We'll find out as you do. But that's going to do it for this edition of Sportsnight. I want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN. For the entire crew, including Howie Shapiro, I'm Joe Young. Saying good night.